Good morning, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to IGS Voice of Life Messages. I have a word for you today entitled "Stop Going Back to Familiar Places." Stop going back to familiar places. 65% of the problems that we bring on ourselves is that we keep going back to people, places, and things that God has delivered us from. Like a dog going back to its vomit. Today I heard a woman say on the radio that because of money issues, she went back living with her ex-boyfriend. She said she trusts God. Her ex was her only choice. That's not trusting God. That's lacking faith, leaning on her understanding, and not putting her full trust in God. Going back to familiar places can cause familiar problems. If I could talk to the young lady that was on the radio, I would say this. You didn't put your situation before God and leave it there. Proverbs 3 and 5 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. I would give her my testimony and tell her if God can work it out for me and my family, he will do it for you. There is no secret what God can do. What he's done for others, he can do for you. Ephesians 3:20 says, now unto him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all you ask or think according to the power that worketh in us. Going back to familiar places can cause familiar sins. Going back to things, places, and people God has delivered us from will cause us to lose our anointing and kneel deeper in into the situation that you shouldn't be in the first place. Going back to the things, places, and people God has delivered us from will cause us to lose our anointing and be knee deep in the situation that we shouldn't have got into in the first place. Wow. What is the solution to stop going back to familiar places? Well, I'm glad you asked. Simple. Just stop. Simple. Just stop. Tell your neighbor. Ask your neighbor, what is the solution to stop going back to familiar places? The response, you tell them, just stop. There's nothing for you in Sodom and Gomorrah but sin and pain. It's time for you to take up your bed and move on. Leave those things behind you that will separate you from the presence of God. Don't get LWS, Lot's wife syndrome. Looking back tells God that I love the sin more than the deliverance from it. The solution is simple. We just need to leave the familiar alone and get back in God. Be blessed.